Hello and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday with me, Ryan, aka Mac. This is a weekly show which covers everything from the world of Star Citizen over the past week. Links to everything discussed can be found in the description below, so let's get on with it. This week we see the updates of the old Hornet lineup, plus an insight to the animations used in Squadron 42. So, as usual now, we start with the 2.6 update from the production schedule. The dates have been pushed back, and the PTU was supposed to be between the 9th to the 14th. It is now the 11th. And for the live release, it's supposed to be the 16th. Now, it was mentioned in ATV this week that it was close. The actual words were, we're hoping to push 2.6 to the wider PTU in the next few days. This does sound like it'll be next week. My fingers are crossed. However, if an ugly bug does rear its head, then obviously it could hold it up a little bit more, especially if it's a blocker. Monday may be an exciting start to the week if all is running smoothly. As always, there is a link in the description should you want to look closer at the schedule and see what it is that's holding it up. So, Around the Verse came from Austin, Texas this week. They first started by telling us that the 2.6 update is in the Evacotti's hands. They're trying to gather the bugs and get them smashed. They're also hoping to release to the wider PTU in the next few days, which is very exciting. So the PTU is when the NDA lifts, and a good chunk of the other backers get their hands on it and test it and tell them the bugs. I will be playing the crap out of it. I'll be live streaming it and making videos. So be sure to follow me on Twitch. They're also getting ready for the holiday live stream, which is on December the 16th. I highly suggest tuning into that one. So, the Austin studio tour. First off, they're talking about ship animation, and they are updating the user experience inside the ship cockpits. Things like you will be reacting to when you bank, acceleration, de-acceleration, all the sorts of movements. For example, when you strafe to one side or the other, you will look and turn your head in that direction as well, just to sort of give it more of a realistic move. The Caterpillar, they said, uses the same metrics as the Freelancer seats, so that's why it's coming out much quicker than they first planned. Really excited to see that. I've seen some videos of people getting it in 2.5. Anyway, they're editing the combat speeds for ship animations, enter and exit. They're going to have all of the... they're trying to get all the combat speeds in for all the current ships and then, the upcoming ships. But for the future, they'll then get the emergency speeds, which is apparently much quicker than the combat speeds, and the walk speeds in too. So the walk speeds are more for your casual roleplay style. I'm not in a hurry kind of getting into your ship. Anyway, after that, they spoke about the Hornet improvements. Now, they have reworked the F7C, the original F7C. They've done it before. We know they've, from the original video of the 2012 trailer, they upgraded them to look more up-to-date, and now they've done it again because of graphics, everything's moving up, it's all looking better. But they just want to match it up visually. So they also did the special livery as well, the Wildfire. The main changes are very difficult to see, but it's just cleaning up the model, getting them better materials, using the same techniques as I said on the other ships. It's a lot more smoother. The old one we can see is the white one, and then the dark Hornet is the latest model. The Ghost looks very cool. He did say the materials still need to be tweaked, so it's still not 100% ready, but we also saw the Radar Hornet and the Wildfire. Now the cockpit has had a little update as well. They've kept the same style, but the model is much cleaner. There's no weird fragmentations. They are looking cool. They are pretty much iconic ships now. It's only been 4 years, but they're iconic. Anyway, the community update. Tyler did say that there will be lots of Bar Citizens going on, especially for the event. So if you don't want to watch the Star Citizen live stream on your own, in your house, head over to barcitizen.sc and see if there are any Bar Citizens near you where you can meet up with fellow citizens and just have a drink and watch it on a bigger screen together. Most valuable post goes to both Deadweight. Deadweight created the detailed 3D printed caterpillar, looks awesome stuff, and Jumniffy for his gingerbread caterpillar, very cool. And then from there, they did a behind the scenes on the Squadron 42 animations. So they've been capturing universal transmissions. These are animations that get you and NPCs in and out of usable objects. For example, the video shows a bloke sitting at a table, and then the arrows show the directions in which the character can enter or exit the usable. This can be used for anything where the character needs to sit down. We can just walk up to it, hit the use function, and then it will engage the animation. They're also setting up metrics for grabbing data pads and using it, so transferring data. This is very cool. This is actually a snippet of Squadron 42 where you will board, they said this, you will board a derelict ship, find a data pad floating around, grab it, and then interact with it to achieve the mission. It does look very cool, and it's like he's got its own little operating system. Obviously, the boot up sequence, it's a Moby-Glass device. It was made by Moby-Glass, but this is a UEE advocacy pad, so the UEE or the advocacy, sorry, are the versus FBI. They've been creating animations for this, plus other things like picking up items, holstering items, lots of finger articulation as well. Then we saw this little pet project that they've been working on, which is the deck crew sequence. So it's similar to, when a jet pilot will take off from an aircraft carrier. It is work in progress, but these animations are fully interactive. They're not canned. So it just explains how it works. So the yellow shirt guy is the plane director. The green shirt guy enters from the orange safe zone, checks that everything is ready for launch on the ship, and then the yellow guy says hold, checks that everyone is safe and out of the way, and then passes it off to the shooter. The shooter then signals to hover, gets the jet blasters up from behind him, and then the green shirts give the thumbs up to make sure that everything is definitely clear, and the shooter signals to throttle up, and then it launches. They did do a lot of research on this for as a starting point on how the real military does this, but they always want to incorporate their own style, which it looks kind of cool. Very much Squadron 42. I'm looking forward to getting into that. I just hope we can use VR for it. Anyway, that was Around the Verse. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Let's move on to RTV. So the first guest on Reverse the Verse was the animation lead. First question for him is, do the fast exits include bailing while in flight? He says ejecting is something you can do so long as you're wearing a helmet. Obviously, some ships have the ejector seat, some don't. You can still go to the door and jump out of the door while it's moving. Next question, will there be more toilet animations, for example, reading a magazine, etc.? Also, will there be animations within animations, so maybe going to a bar, then grabbing a drink, and so on and so forth? And he says absolutely, they are working on it right now. The AI will go, for example, to a damaged panel on a ship, look around, then maybe pull out the port tool and fix it, holster the port tool, pull out a data pad to analyze it. They are currently coding it all to allow the AI to navigate, but for sitting at a toilet, you will be able to do things like use your Mobi glass, which is very cool actually. It's kind of what I do with my iPad anyway. Next question, will we see more animations for entering ships? And he says no, currently they've got the 3. We know of the 3. They're going to have emergency, which is a very super fast enter and exit. They also said that the one guy that was recording the animation for this broke his ankle. Combat, which is quick, which is what we saw. I'll probably show that up again. And then walking, which is kind of a nice and casual. Walking is pretty much what we have at the moment, but maybe a bit faster. Currently, it's kind of dangerous when you're being shot at and you're just nonchalantly climbing into your ship. Anyway, last question for this guy. Will all animations being done apply to the female model, or will she require work? And they said the goal is for the male and the female character to feel unique. Currently, she does use the same as the male character, and it all feels awkward and looks a bit weird. It generally looks like a guy's walking around, even though it's a female figure. They will go in later and replace these animations shot for the female. Maybe not every animation, but as many as possible to make her look natural. But it'll be when they have the time and the resources to do so. So, the next guy was the vehicle 3D artist chap who is Chris Smith, been here from the very beginning. The first question for him was the 300 series polish pass. He says he's got to do the F8 Lightning first. After that, he'll move on to the 300 series, and he can't wait. Next question is, was you able to reduce the poly count and make the new Hornets more efficient? And he says, yes, for sure, it is much more efficient. Question after that is, how will aging states affect ship models? And he said it's still to be implemented. The materials are set up to have this wear and tear state, and there will be like a dirt slider, an age slider for ships, as well as FPS weapons. So over time, your weapons and your ships will look older. They are coming online soon. He just doesn't know when. Last question for him was, what's next? And obviously, he'd said the F8 Lightning 300 redo. But for the Hornet rework, he says they're just cleaning up and adding new materials. These new materials are now set up for custom paints. They're also adding the damage system. The upgrade to the latest Hornet for current Hornet owners will be automatic. But yes, the F7CM is getting remade too. So to quickly finish off, Tyler says that this is the last ATV RTV of the year. We've got this Friday is the holiday live stream, and then it'll be into the next year. Very exciting. Anyway, let's move on. Also this week we had a new Aramis post titled Day 256, A Day of Candidacy. Bug Smashers episode 38 is out also. And finally, December's subscriber flare was announced. It is the Gold Herald Takietsu model for you to display on your hangars. Don't forget guys, the UK meetup event BritismCon is still raising funds and selling tickets over on Indiegogo. If the idea of meeting and chatting to Star Citizen developers, content creators and backers alike sounds appealing to you, follow the link in the description to get your ticket booked. So that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for watching, and thank you to our subscribers, plus a massive thank you to our patrons as you make this possible. If you like what we do and want to help us make it better, follow the link in the description to our Patreon page to learn more.